Start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Get ready for this.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's your girl, Bebe Clement, the host of Bebe Means Business. I hope you guys had a really good Easter, because I did. It was very restful, and I'm really pleased that I had that. The entrepreneurs, as you well know, often don't get the opportunity to rest, but I definitely rested this Easter. Although I still did a bit of work, but notwithstanding, wasn't as bad as usual. So welcome once again to the BB Means Business Show. For those of you who are joining us for the very first time, this is the show where you can get all the tips, advice, knowledge, and assistance that you need in order to do well in your business and to become financially free. That's the whole aim of this particular program. I'm your host, Bebe Clement, and I run a group of small companies in London, England, and I'm also the author of this book, How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur. This book has sold over 5,000 copies, and you better make sure you get it. What are you waiting for? If there's ever been a time to start a business, it is now. So I would strongly encourage you to get it. It's available on Amazon or from my website for £12.99 plus postage. Okay, so the last live show that I did, we talked about the role of ownership in wealth creation, the role of ownership in wealth creation, and that was a really good show. The feedback was fantastic, and I think it opened people's minds to things that they hadn't hitherto thought about. So I'm really glad that we did that show. So today I'm going to do something that's slightly related, but before I tell you what that's about, just to let you know that this is a live show. And it's an interactive program, and I want to hear your views. I want your questions. I'm here to answer your questions, and to just enlighten you on anything that you might need help with. If you want to send us any questions, or you just want to give an opinion on the show, you just want to give feedback about a previous show, please feel free to do that. Our Twitter handle is @StarRadioUK. That's @StarRadioUK. Or you can text or WhatsApp us, and I'll give you the number now. It's 07539 661 744. That's 07539 661 744. Or of course you can email us at info@StarRadioUK, or join us via Facebook at Star Radio UK and just put your questions in the chat, and my producer will pass them to me during the program, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. If you don't like a shout out, then by all means just let me know, and I'm happy to do that. So this week, for those of you who are just joining this week, we're going to be talking about the several levels of income. Several levels of income. Now, one of the reasons why I decided to do this topic is because a friend of mine who's actually been on the show before, Dr. Banjoku, he does talks on wealth creation in the trading and investment space. And he often starts his seminars with this statement. He says, a staggering 70% of the world's adult population are financially illiterate. 70%. So now, that might not seem like too serious a statement to you, but I want you to think about illiteracy from the outlook of being able to read and write. And you know that being illiterate, it locks you out of many things in life. It diminishes your ability to function properly. It robs you of potential. It stops your ability to access certain opportunities when they present themselves. In a nutshell, ignorance is not bliss, ladies and gentlemen. Ignorance is not bliss. And when it comes to financial literacy, the same is applicable. The same is applicable. In other words, it is what we don't know about money, what we don't understand about our economic environment, things that we don't know about capitalism and how it functions, how to create money, how to grow it, how to invest it, how to use it, how to save it. It is what we don't know about money that is keeping us poor. And I personally, call me a cynic, but I personally think that it's deliberate. Otherwise, why don't they teach financial literacy in schools? If the whole point of leaving school is to acquire skills that you can use in the marketplace in order to get money, then why not just teach people about money? But that's just my little moan. The powers that be have their own reasons for doing what they do. But I'm determined to give you a lesson in financial literacy so that by all means you can become financially free. Being poor is not fun. So I really want to just give you little tidbits, just be part of your success story and helping you becoming financially free. So today we're going to be looking at the 7 levels of income, and it's unlikely, very unlikely, that we'll be able to get through all of them. So I might have a 2-part series, and that's fine, but I'm determined that we're going to do that. I believe that success leaves clues. Success leaves clues. And if you want to become financially free, then we must learn from those who already are. That's what we must do. In any sphere of life that you want to be successful, just go and look for somebody who is already successful in the area that you want to be successful in, and sit at their feet and learn from them. What is it that they did? What mistakes did they make that I can avoid? Those kind of things. So that's what we're going to be doing today. One of the clues that successful people, or financially free, or rich people, whatever you want to call them, have left is that the average millionaire has about 7 different income streams going at any given time, which would go a long way to explain why employees don't become wealthy, because they're, by nature of their work, they are dependent on a single source of income, i.e. their salary. But millionaires have at any given time 7 different sources of income on the go. Now, I've been watching in recent times, because of his whole relationship with this whole pandemic, and he seems to have become the spokesperson for this whole pandemic. I have been reading a bit more about Bill Gates. And Bill Gates, as you know, was traditionally known for Microsoft. And we thought that was pretty much all he did. We knew about his charitable works, but we thought that was pretty much all he did. Now we are understanding that man is such an astute businessman. It is scary. He's got his fingers in so many pies. I was reading recently that he is now the single owner of the greatest amount of farmland in America. The greatest amount of farmland in America. He is the single highest owner, which means, in effect, basically, that somebody that has that kind of monopoly, or that large amount of chunk of that industry, will be able to dictate the food chain, control and dictate the food chain. And he's already started telling us how we should eat, synthetic beef and all that. The point I'm trying to make is that we're now discovering that as a point of as an example, Bill Gates is not only into computers and IT and all that. He's also into pharmaceuticals. He's one of the shareholders of Pfizer and Moderna, I understand. He's also into farming. He's also into all kinds of other things. So they tend to have different income streams. So you and I must take a leaf out of their book, learn how they did it, and do the same thing. Okay. So, let's start with the first level of income, or the first level of wealth, or the first income stream that they have. And the first one is money. Money. Now, what is money? Money is a medium of exchange in the form of coins and banknotes. It is also the most visible level of income. Everybody sees it. Everybody is familiar with it. Everybody, to an extent, recognizes it. We may not understand how it functions that much, but at least we recognize it, and it's the most visible. Everywhere you go, there's money. But why is money an important level of income? I personally think that it's because of the options that it buys you. It's not even necessarily how much you have in the bank, so to speak, but it is the options or the choices that it buys you. And ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest, what is life without choices? So it is the choices that money buys you that is important. One of the options or the choices that it buys you is the option to send your children to good schools, to the best schools, where they get a great education and they are exposed to numerous aspects of life that they possibly or probably would not have been had it not been for the fact that you sent them to a good school. And I have personal experience of this that I'll share. When my youngest son was going to go to secondary school, the local authority in my area allocated a school to him, or allocated him to a school, and that school, in all honesty, was probably one of the worst, if not the worst, secondary school in my borough, by way of results, by way of behavior, everything. I've driven past that school many times, and I was not encouraged. I saw the kids hanging around smoking and all the rest. So there was just no way we were going to let our son go to that school. So we appealed, and we lost our appeal. They said no, he had to go to that school. So we said, well, if that's the case, then we're going to have to send him to private school. There's nothing we can do. Now, there are some very good state schools in the UK, but in this particular case, there was nothing we could do, so we decided to send him to private school. Now, before my son went to that private school, he was interested in music, but he was interested in playing the keyboard, so he was quite good at playing the keyboard. But when he went to this private school, one of the instruments that he was exposed to was the violin. And he decided he wanted to play violin. And he became so good at it that he was able to do his grade exam. He did his level 5, I think he did his level 8. And he became so good that he then joined a local music school and began to tour all around the world as a violinist. Now, I know for a certainty that there is no way, because we're not, we're not inclined in relation to a violin, that kind of thing. There are certain instruments that, children from my background tend to pick up, drums, keyboards and everything, but violin is not a usual one for us. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule, but violin is not a usual one for us. So he would never have been exposed to that, but for the fact that he went to the kind of school that he went. Now, this is what I'm talking about. That, again, has opened up his mind, it has opened up his view of the world. He had created opportunities for him to travel just because we were able, because of we could afford it, to send him to that kind of school. So money gives you options. It gives you options in life. It also buys you access. It buys you access. Access to what? By way of example, it buys you access to certain social clubs where you are on first name terms with people who are in corridors of power, people who have the ability to make decisions regarding your life and my life. Politicians, entertainers, masters of industry, those kind of people who influence our life. Those of us who are on the lower spectrum of life, these are people who are in the corridors of power. Now, if you're in the same social club with somebody like that, and you're on first name basis, that opens a whole world for you. It opens so many doors. It just gives you access, and it is money that brings you before those kind of people. Another thing that money does is it helps you get the best professional advice. Now, as an entrepreneur, this is so important. So important. The kind of team that you have behind you is so important. So if you have money, then you can have access to the best professionals in your industry. So you have the best lawyers, you have the best tax consultants or tax specialists, and every millionaire or every rich person will tell you that they could not survive without the advice of their team, particularly their tax specialists, because tax specialists, they understand how to help you take advantage of the tax laws, how to hide your money, preserve your wealth for generations to come. This is what people do. This is what rich people do. They get the advice and the information from those who are in the know, so that they're able to preserve their wealth. Somebody like you and I, the average person, even when we get money, that's why people who win the lottery and don't know what to do with the money, they lose it very easily, because they do not have access, or they don't know where to go and find a great team that will give them the right advice that will help them preserve their wealth and be able to leave it as a legacy for generations to come. So it is important that we have money. So that's the first level of income. But most importantly, I think it buys you time. It buys you time. And you'll often hear me say on this program that poor people exchange their time, which is their greatest resource in life. They exchange their time for money. Rich people exchange their money for time. Anything that can buy a rich person time, they are willing to pay for it. They don't care how much it costs. And that's what money buys you. Money buys you time. Time to recuperate after a sickness. Now, if you're an employee, it is most likely that your employer has a limited number of days that they're willing to tolerate you being ill, as if to say you're ill on purpose, but they're willing to tolerate you being ill before they start breathing down your neck. So oft times, I remember when I was an employee, oft times I would be under pressure to quickly get over whatever ailment was ailing me so that I could get back to work. So 9 times out of 10, I would return to work knowing full well that I was not really well. But because I didn't want my HR manager to start breathing down my neck and then calling me in for sickness meetings and all the rest, and it going towards your absence level and all the rest, you felt pressurized and stressed to return to work even though you knew full well that you were not okay. So money buys you that option, If a job is doing you in, you can tell your boss to stop his job and you can walk. But money is what buys you those kind of options. Time to think. It buys you time to think. Now, the number of businesses, I was reading about this on, I think it was on Twitter, the number of businesses that have been birthed during COVID is phenomenal. And that's because most people are now working from home, and because they're working from home, they have a better work-life balance, and they're actually able to take time out in the day to think. Because if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have to learn to think. Time to think, to birth new ideas, to explore opportunities, to research, to try new things. It is money that enables you to do that. To expand your consciousness, to travel. People who travel have a better outlook on life. All these things take time, and money is what buys you time to do all those kind of things. Okay? All right. I'm going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to look at level 2. We've just looked at money, but level 2 is going to be vision. We're going to have a look at vision. That is another level of income, and I'm going to explain to you why that is. Don't go away.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur, and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Get ready for this.
Okay, welcome back to the Bebe Means Business Show. And for those of you who are just joining us, why are you late? But I'm Bebe Clement, and I'm the host of Bebe Means Business. And I'm here every Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. In order to shed a little bit more light on how to be a successful entrepreneur, how to grow and create your wealth, and how to become financially free and leave a legacy. Bible tells us that we're to leave a legacy, not just for our children, but for our children's children. In other words, when it comes to building wealth, you need to start thinking generationally. It's not enough to just be thinking about you and how you can buy another car and have a bigger house. You need to start thinking generationally about creating wealth. Okay, so just before the break, I was speaking about the 7 different levels of income, and we were taking a clue out of what is it that millionaires do. Is it that millionaires have a better start in life? Is it that they are just smarter than us? Is it that they're better educated than us? No, on the contrary, when you meet them, oftentimes you will find that you are even better educated than they are. I remember the guy that mentored me when I was writing my first book, Richard McMahon. He asked me one day while he was talking. He said, "Baby, what's your educational status?" And I told him what I had. I said, "I have a degree in English. I have a degree in law." That kind of thing. He said, "Oh wow, that's impressive." I said, "What about you?" He said, "I had no idea what I was doing in school, so I didn't even bother." And I flunked out of school. I think I had just 3 I got just 3 GCSEs and the rest I failed. I had no idea what I was doing. But here's a guy with 3 GCSEs and I'm paying him thousands to mentor me how to write a book because he had found an area that he was successful in and he had become a millionaire. So it's not that they're smarter than you, it's not that they're better educated, but they understand certain things, and we need to find out what is it that they know that we don't know, and make sure that we adapt it to our lives so that we too can become financially free. So one of the things that we have discovered is that millionaires have at any given time about 7 different sources of income. So the first one I spoke about before we went on the break was money. Money is one level of income. Let's have a look at another level. The next one is vision. And now I know that sounds strange, but vision is another level of income. Now vision consists of things like ideas, dreams, plans, goals. Now they may not be tangible, they may not be concrete, but this does not make them any less real or denying of their existence. Now I'm a Christian, as most of our viewers know, and when I read the creation story, it says that the earth was dark and void, and then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And I believe that man, you and I, have the same creative capacity. Things exist in different realms. There is more to life than what you see. Things exist in different realms, and ideas and plans and dreams, they exist in a different realm. And when you bring them, when you make them into a plan and you carry out that plan, you bring them into the here and now. You bring them into the physical realm, but it doesn't mean they didn't exist in a different realm. I'll give an example. When you think about an architect can take you to a vacant piece of land and walk you through the house. He will tell you the fireplace is over there, we are standing in the kitchen, the cooker is over there, this is where you're going to put the chimney, blah blah blah. And he's not just talking nonsense, he can see it. He can see it in his mind's eye. Why? Because it exists, but it exists in a different realm. When they start laying the foundation and putting bricks one on top of the other, he then brings it into the physical realm. But it existed. It already existed in his mind. It already existed in his imagination. It already existed in the non-physical realm. Some people call it the ether, or whatever it is I want to call it. But it already existed. The fact that you couldn't see it with your physical eye does not deny its existence. So it is really important that you get a hold of dreams and ideas and plans and goals, and you bring them into this realm. I'm a strong believer that if you can see it, you can be it. The power of being able to visualize is so strong, so strong. And this is not some new age hocus pocus. It's not. But if you can see it in your mind's eye, you can be it. You can do it. You can make money from it. So ideas are, of course, the most important. Listen, guys, Facebook that has made Mark Zuckerberg one of the richest men on earth was an idea. That's all it was. It was an idea. Uber is an idea. McDonald's is an idea. And you know what? When it comes to ideas are not even they don't just translate into physical objects that make you rich. The idea can be the process, it can be the procedure. So for instance, in the case of McDonald's, of course, burgers existed, hamburgers existed before McDonald's came along. And indeed, McDonald's itself as a company was already doing relatively well before the McDonald's brothers sold it to Roy Kroc. But Roy Kroc's intervention was what made McDonald's the multi-billion-dollar industry it is today. It was his intervention. And what did he do? What did he do? It wasn't that he reinvented the burger, but what he did was he brought uniformity to the process. That was the idea that transformed McDonald's. So he brought to the process the idea that wherever you go to a McDonald's to eat a burger, whether you're eating it in London, or you're eating it in Paris, or you're eating it in Newcastle, or you're eating it wherever you're eating a McDonald's beef burger, that beef burger should taste the same. It should taste the same. Wherever you're buying a strawberry milkshake from McDonald's in the world, that milkshake should taste the same. It was the uniformity of process that Roy Kroc brought to McDonald's that metamorphosized it and blew it into the stratospheric kind of company that we know today. It was an idea. It was an idea. So here's my advice to you. If you want to do well in business, you must learn, first of all, to discipline and utilize your ideas and your thoughts. You must discipline your thoughts, begin to streamline your thoughts, and pay attention to your thoughts. Your ideas are like nuggets of gold hidden in dirt. That's what they're like nuggets of gold hidden in dirt. You may have to go through thousands and thousands before you get to a good one. So here's what I would advise you to do. I would encourage you to do. Get a small notebook. And every morning after maybe your early morning meditation, those of you who do meditate or you pray or whatever it is that you do, begin to write down every business idea that comes to you, no matter how stupid or crazy or off the charts it may seem. Now, some of them will be silly, and that's fine, but some of them will be worth exploring, and some of them will be gems. Like I said, look at them like golden nuggets. So start writing them down. Start writing them down, because you never know which one is going to be the one that lays the golden goose. So start writing them down. And the ones that look not so crazy, start exploring. Look, if you know the number of people who have become millionaires based on what everybody told them was a crazy idea that would never work, you'll be amazed. Look at the Wright brothers. When the Wright brothers said that they believed that they could build a bird, a mechanical bird that would fly, people laughed them to scorn. It's history now. It's history now. Now they're talking about driverless cars, which maybe 20 years ago people would have laughed at, but now we expect to happen. So don't write the idea off just because you think somebody's going to laugh about it. Don't write it off as a result of that. Okay? Then as you go to work, for those of you who are still employed, as you go to work, walk around your workplace, looking at problems, and look for ideas as to how to solve those problems. Look at it from the client's perspective. It could be anything. Now, there's a particular young man I know in Nigeria, and if he's watching, I want to do a shout out to him. Toby, hi. He worked in a hotel, and he worked in a hotel kitchen in Nigeria, and he discovered that hotel kitchens are very, very slippery. So it wasn't unusual for some of his colleagues, or a lot of his colleagues, to fall down regularly and to injure themselves. So he thought, okay, what can he do to solve that problem? And he thought, rubber shoes. So he began to buy rubber shoes and sell them to his colleagues at work. And then he began to be known for that, and people began to order those shoes from him. Rubber soled shoes. Amazing. Amazing. He saw a problem and he looked at, how can I fix this problem? And out of that, a business was born. So please, that's what you need to do. It could be anything, but look for problems and look for how you can solve them, and begin to write down those ideas. And if you need help, there are people like me, business advisors, business consultants, who can show you how to monetize those ideas, or can show you how to, like I said, mine those ideas, to get the dirt and the rust off the nugget of an idea that you have, and turn it into a business. Okay, so that's vision. That's level 2. Let's have a look at relationships. We'll have a quick look at relationships, and then we'll take another break. Relationships, I think this is the most important level. I really do. I think it's the most important level. You've heard the phrase, your network is your net worth. And that's so true. Now, your relationships include your friends, your family, your colleagues, but it also includes other people, like people that you meet at like networking events and things like that. So I'm going to talk about the whole spectrum as we go along. Now, for instance, just being seen with certain people will increase your worth in the marketplace. Just being seen. In other words, wealth by association. You know what they say about a rising tide lifts all boats. I'll talk about that in a minute. But just being seen with certain people can increase your value in the marketplace. So for instance, just my industry is speaking and training. So just having your picture taken with somebody like Les Brown or something like that, Tony Robbins, that kind of person, just, you might not even know him, you might just be at his event, and just having your picture taken with him can increase your value as a speaker in the marketplace. I remember when a bank manager friend of mine contacted me, I think it was last year, very excitedly to say, Bebe, I've just been on Instagram and I can see that John Maxwell is following you on Instagram, and he was so excited, and I was already excited because I'd seen that the week before, so I was like, oh my God, John Maxwell, who is the #1 lead in the area of leadership, which is another area that I'm very, very, very passionate about, was following me on Instagram. I was like, oh my God, what could I possibly have to say that this man would be interested in? But just the fact that somebody like that was following me on Instagram raised my profile in the marketplace. A huge shout out to one of my heroes in the Christian space, T.D. Jakes, Bishop T.D. Jakes. I discovered that he's following me on Twitter. That again has raised my profile because people see that, you know, well, if Bishop Jakes is bothering to follow this woman on Twitter, she must have something real to say. So Bishop, thank you so much. I'm so honored. Thank you that you would take the time to follow me on Twitter. So yeah, so these kind of things is within your network, just by association, increases your value in the marketplace, which again increases the amount of money that you can make in the marketplace. Okay. Now, like I said earlier, a rising tide lifts all boats. There's certain people that just being around them will expand your consciousness of what is possible for your life and for your business. Just being around them. Now, for instance, this is why I harpen upon the importance of having mentors. You must have mentors because they ignite you, they revive you, they strengthen you, they help you see what is possible. There's a particular mentor that I have, Mr. Aki Naftal, and he's the managing director of Instinct, the Instinct Media Group. And whenever he comes to the UK, I can't wait to go and see him. I really can't wait to go and see him. And his poor wife she's always so nice to me. She must think, my God, this woman, she's always stalking my husband. But it's because he's one of my mentors, and you know, just being in his presence for about 30 minutes, an hour, when we discuss ideas and we look at where I am in my business, and he gives me some tips, and he gives me some ideas as to how I can improve my systems, that kind of thing. That kind of information is invaluable to me, and just being in his presence for about an hour can, just makes my brain begin to tick. And by the time I go home, I always go to see him with a notebook and a pen. Whenever I go and see great men, I always do that. I always have a notebook and a pen, because you never know what they're going to say. Never know what they're going to say. Sometimes they say something unconsciously that can just do that for my brain and revolutionize my thinking. So yes, those kind of people. Another person is my best friend Sandra, who I've also had on the show. Just sometimes I just pick her brains. I just take time out and talk to her, not as a friend, but as a business mentor, and get her advice, listen to things that she says, that kind of thing, because she's a serial entrepreneur and she's very successful at what she does. So I learn from her, and again, the more I learn, the more value and put into practice, the more valuable I become in the marketplace, the more money I can make. So your network is very, very important. So let's look at networking. Networking. Now you must network. You cannot sit in your house and think that you are going to make any money. You must get out there. And when I say get out there, I know that we're sheltering and all that because of COVID. But even then, most people have pivoted now, and there's webinars and there's Clubhouse and there's Zoom meetings and everything else going on online. So that's not an excuse. You don't have to wait until they lift until we can go back to normal before you start networking. You must be networking even now. You must be networking. But the importance of networking events is that you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to meet. Now, again, I'm a Christian, so whenever I'm going to go to a networking event, I pray before I go. And I say, Lord, just, lead me to the right people. Supernatural divine appointments. That's what I'm asking for. Supernatural divine appointments. And there's one particular time that will forever stick in my mind. Forever stick in my mind. There was one event I was going to, and it was off the beaten path for me. It's not something that I would normally go to. It was a government event, and I think it was with the Department of Industry and stuff like that. But it was not something that I would normally go to. But I was going to go. I'd been invited, so I was going to go. And I always go prepared. I always go prepared because I'm a strong believer that fortune dances with those who are already on the dance floor. There's nothing worse than having an opportunity and you are not prepared. It's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than have the opportunity arise and you are not prepared. So I always go to an event prepared. So I had my copies of my book. I had copies of my bag that I put my book in when I'm going to hand it to people, and it's branded. It's got my name all over it. It's got the name of the book all over it. And so I had all that ready, and I had some other products that I put in the bag that I was going to give to people that I met that I thought could be strategic in my journey, and just give it to them as a gift. Now, when I went to this event, I didn't know anyone, which was very unusual for me. There's hardly a time I go to an event that I don't know anybody. But this particular event, I didn't know anyone. So during the lunchtime, I was standing on my own, and all of a sudden, this guy walked past me, and then got to the end of the room, did a turnaround, and then walked towards me and introduced himself. So I'm like, okay, Lord, I've prayed, so I'm believing that this is a strategic alliance, a potential strategic alliance. So we introduced each other, we introduced ourselves to each other, and we chatted and everything like that. And it was very interesting because we actually found out that we were from the same town in Nigeria. So we chatted about that, we bonded over that and everything. And then he went, and I went my separate way. Then when we reconvened for the afternoon session of the presentation, the seminar, when I went into the room, there was nowhere for me to sit, really. The room that I had been, we changed rooms. So this particular room that already had people there. But the guy that I had spoken to earlier, there just happened to be a vacant seat beside him. So since I knew I'd now spoken to him, so I said to him, do you mind if I sit down? He said, no, by all means. So I sat down and we began to chat a bit more. And at the end of our chat, I then handed him my bag. I signed one of my books, and I handed him my bag, and gave him a bag with some goodies inside it, gave him my business card, and left. The next day, I got a phone call from him to say, oh, thank you very much, it was nice meeting you, blah, blah. I've actually started reading your book. I didn't know who this guy was. I later found out that he was the head of communication for a very, very important organization in the UK. I didn't know that. And then we kind of stayed in touch, for a little while. And every so often we give each other a shout out. When he wanted to do some business in Nigeria, he called me. And then because he had access to entrepreneurs, he then hired me. It took 2 years for him to contact me to hire me to come and speak to his people. But he had an amazing network. And he hired me to come and speak to that network. And then he kind of left me. Once he'd done the introductions, he kind of left me. And I have spoken to that network twice in the last 6 months and made a lot of money from it. So again, your network determines your net worth. It is really important that you have the right network and you take advantage of it. Another area another level of relationships, because that's what we're speaking about. We're speaking about relationships as a level of income. Another level of relationships that is very underutilized, particularly for my people, Black Sub-Saharans, is the mastermind group. Now, a mastermind group is a group of entrepreneurs that meet up regularly just to brainstorm. The idea is different from networking. They're not meeting up to make money per se, but they're meeting up to brainstorm, to help you work strategically in your business so that you work on your business rather than in your business. And some of the things they do is they birth new ideas. They help you revisit old ideas. They give you advice. They lend of their knowledge. They lend of their expertise. They give you access to their contacts and their network. It is really important that you join a mastermind group. Now, I started one last year. It has become so popular that I'm about to start the third one. So if you want some information about that, then by all means, then drop me a line at bb@bbclement.com and I'll give you some more information about that. But I run them in cycles of 6 weeks. They last for 6 weeks, and they cost £75. £75 for the 6 weeks. If you would like more information about that. But I mean, I can't even begin to tell you the advantages of being in a mastermind group. It is priceless. It is priceless. If I wasn't running one myself, I don't care how much it would cost, I would join, because they are priceless. That way of advantage and what you get, how you are able to take advantage of the people that you come across. Okay, so that's that. Another level of relationships is collaborations and referrals, and you would have heard me speak about that many times on this program. I'll quickly talk about that, and then I think I'm going to end it there. Now, collaborations is really, what do I have that can benefit you? What do you have that can benefit me, that we can both use to grow our business, to make more money, to advance ourselves? That's really what it is. Now, for instance, I'll give an example of a very simple collaboration. There's a lady I know who coaches women. She coaches women on how to start a business. So she does, I think it's about 12 weeks, a 12-week session with them on how to start a business successfully. So she coaches them, she mentors them, she holds their hand for 12 weeks and all that. She contacted me a few weeks ago. She said, Bebe, listen, there's an area that I want my mentees to be exposed to. I know you are in a better position to do that, so I'd like you to speak on my platform, under my umbrella. I'd like you to do that. Now, that's a collaboration. I'm not speaking under Bebe Clement's umbrella or speaking under her umbrella, but I'm bringing what I know to enhance what she does, and we both make money from it. Okay? So she could say, oh, you know what, I'm going to have to pay Bebe for that, so I'm not even going to bother. But she's very smart. She understands that what I'm bringing to the table is going to make her more valuable to her mentors. She understands that. So she's happy to collaborate. She's happy to collaborate. So that's how collaboration works. What have I got that can enhance your offering? What have you got that can enhance my offering? It might even be something as simple as your business card. I remember one time seeing a flyer. This lady had a flyer. She was a caterer, and she had a flyer, and on that flyer were her details and all that she was offering. On the other side of the same flyer was the details of a lady who makes cakes. Wedding cakes, birthday cakes, that kind of thing. It was on the same flyer. Now that's a collaboration. Of course, it's cheaper for them to have one flyer, because it would have cost them double to have two separate flyers. But also, somebody who wants catering for her party, 9 times out of 10 will also want a cake. And here is a cake maker on the opposite side of the paper. So again, that's a good collaboration. So as an entrepreneur, I want you to start thinking, who can I collaborate with? And you know, what stops us from collaborating is small-mindedness and greed. That's what stops us from collaboration. We think that, if I collaborate with that person, that means I'm going to have to share part of my profits, that kind of thing. Listen, forget all that. I would rather have 10% of something that is making money than 100% of something that is not. So don't let small-mindedness and greed rob you of growing in your business and making more money. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to end it there, and we'll finish off. This is definitely going to be a two-part series. So next week I'm going to be looking at things like knowledge. How is knowledge an income stream? How is it a level of income, and how can you use it to best advantage? Thank you so much for joining me once again. Have a great week. Make some money. Stay safe. And as I always say, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur, and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK.